Charleston didn't glow at midnight, it rusted. The neon signs at the corner seafood joint flickered, just enough to show who was still inside. Aurelia wiped the counter one last time, her cloth dragging across the laminate like it was dragging her spirit with it. The kitchen had emptied out, but the looks from the other waitstaff hadn't. They never left when she did. One server muttered "charity girl" under her breath. The others just watched, waiting for her to leave so they could exhale their judgment. "Vance," the manager barked. "Don't think I didn't see you. That food, it goes in the bin, not to your little street projects." Aurelia didn't argue. She never did. She just wrapped the leftover fried shrimp and hush puppies in a napkin, tucked it into a paper bag, and slipped out the back door. Across the street, the black SUV idled. Hidden behind tinted glass, Sebastian Vance hadn't blinked in over a minute. His granddaughter, his blood, was slipping a paper bag into the lap of a woman sitting on cardboard. The woman whispered something. Aurelia nodded. Then she walked away. No one clapped. No music swelled. Just streetlight and the slow blink of a man who thought he knew everything about power. Inside her own mind, Aurelia sorted through facts like legal documents. She had $41 in her checking account. Her classes were paused until balance cleared. Her name was scrubbed from the alumni donor board. Her phone plan ended next Tuesday. She didn't tell anyone. She hadn't begged for help. She wasn't raised to ask. Not anymore. From the SUV, Sebastian watched her vanish down a side street. The bag of food gone. Her hands empty. His jaw flexed, but he said nothing. Not yet. 2 nights earlier, the Vance estate glittered with chandeliers, imported oysters, and the kind of laughter only heard at a table full of winners. Aurelia sat straight-backed at the far end. Not far enough, apparently. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" Briar's voice lilted with venom. "I said," Aurelia began. She said, Briar interrupted. She thinks homeless shelters need organic produce. Next up, investment strategies from soup kitchens. Martin didn't look up. This is a dinner, not a plea bargain. Corinne leaned in, her perfume sharp. "Don't call me mother" in front of the board again. Aurelia's chair scraped subtly as someone had moved it earlier, positioned it deliberately off-center. She hadn't noticed when she sat, but now it was obvious. She wasn't at the table. She was an accessory. No one asked why she left early. No one followed. The door closed behind her with the finality of a gavel. Have you ever been the one person they wished would just stay quiet? The photo came in a plain envelope. Aurelia's fingers didn't tremble when she opened it, but her spine went rigid. A still image. Her, crouched near the dumpster behind the restaurant. A bag in her hand. Poor lighting. A timestamp added later. It arrived before the meeting. Of course it did. This behavior isn't aligned with company image, HR said. The office smelled of paper and manufacturer concern. I see, Aurelia replied. They handed her the final check. It was less than expected. It always was. Outside, the sunlight was sharp. She walked to the parking lot slowly, her steps deliberate. Each one felt like writing a new line in a story they couldn't edit. Even when they take your name, they can't take your spine. Her phone buzzed. Revan, I don't believe what they said. Want to talk? She didn't reply. What could she say? That she was already written out of the will? Of the room? Of the entire damn narrative? Across the street, Sebastian sat behind the wheel of the same SUV. This time no shadows. Just him. Just her. A silent battlefield. She never asked for help, he whispered. Not once. Rain in Charleston doesn't pour. It whispers. It collects on the edges of closed signs and the corners of forgotten dreams. Aurelia walked past the bakery that used to open at 5. It was shuttered now. Or maybe it just felt like it. Her stomach growled, ignored. She folded the paycheck into her coat pocket. The paper was damp. Everything felt damp. This isn't rock bottom, she told herself. Rock bottom is when you stop believing they'll pay for it. Across town, Sebastian picked up a pen. The envelope was already addressed. He wrote the name with care. Aurelia Vance. If they wanted me forgotten, they should have picked someone weaker. The law office smelled like lemon polish and cold intent. Aurelia stood before a glass door etched with the Vance Holdings crest, her name absent from every plaque. Mid-morning sun poured in, but it couldn't warm the chill waiting inside. She stepped in. Linwood rose first. His handshake was unnecessary but forced anyway. "So good you came," he said, as if it wasn't a summons. Briar sat across the table, legs crossed, her smile as sharp as broken glass. "We're here to make things right," Linwood continued. "A family harmonization agreement. Just standard housekeeping." Yara Delaney entered last, briefcase in hand, tailored suit pressed into silence. She nodded at Aurelia, but said nothing. Her eyes did not belong to the room. Aurelia sat, folding her hands, nodding as Linwood explained clauses with too many footnotes. "A gesture of goodwill," Briar chimed in, to avoid confusion about future claims. Her pulse slowed. This was no reconciliation, it was a legal muzzle. The pages turned like the loading of a weapon. She asked questions, innocent ones, repeated phrases they'd just said. Feigned naivete. "I'd love to think this through," she offered, already standing. "May I have a moment alone?" Yara slid a folder across the table. A post-it note fluttered free. Aurelia caught it as if by accident. "Call me alone. Trust no one in this room." She left with the folder, the lie still hanging like the scent of lemon in the air. Have you ever been asked to sign something you knew wasn't right? The study hadn't changed. Same oak shelves, same ticking clock. Sebastian looked smaller in the leather chair, but his voice held weight. "I was waiting to see how long it would take them," he said. Revan stood at the door, silent. Aurelia sat opposite her grandfather, hands folded. "They brought documents," she said. "Polished, weaponized. They think they're clever." He slid a sealed envelope across the desk. "I was clever first." She didn't touch it yet. "They'll never accept this." "I'm not asking them to," he said. "This house isn't a democracy." She opened the envelope. It was the revised will. His signature gleamed in fresh ink. "You're the only heir," he said. "You're the only one who never asked for more than she gave." She looked at the fire, not him. "They'll come for me." "They will," he said, with no trace of fear, with teeth bared. "Don't bare yours back. Stand taller." She nodded, not out of gratitude, but clarity. "You made your choice," she whispered. "Now I'll make mine." He laughed then, softly like wind through leaves. "That's my girl." The boardroom was sterile, soaked in tension and wealth. Every seat was taken, except the one at the head of the table. Aurelia entered alone. Martin was red before she even sat. Briar clutched her pearls like a lifeline. Corinne wore black, though no one had died. Yet Yara stood at the podium. "We're here for the reading of the last will and testament of Mr. Sebastian Vance." Linwood interrupted. "We were told there'd be a vote on." "There's no vote," Yara said. "Only instruction." She opened the document. Read clearly, evenly. To my granddaughter, Aurelia Vance, I leave 100% of my estate and business holdings. The room shattered. You lying witch, Briar spat. He was senile. Martin roared. Corinne didn't speak. Her hands gripped the table so tightly her knuckles paled. Linwood rose, holding up a paper. This is void. Yara cut him off. The will is corroborated by video testimony. Time-stamped. Witnessed. May I? She clicked the remote. On screen, Sebastian appeared. I give everything to the only person who never begged, never blamed, and never took more than she needed. He looked straight into the lens. Into them. Into her. Have you ever walked into a room full of wolves, knowing you'd be the one with the last word? Night wrapped around the car as Aurelia drove past neighborhoods with her name now stamped on the deeds. But the power didn't sit heavy. It sat quiet. She hit play. Sebastian's voice crackled. You are more than their heir. You are the future they never expected. She pulled over. Same pantry, same sidewalk. A boy, Isaac, waved at her. Plastic bag in hand, shoes too big for his feet. She waved back. Didn't smile. Not yet. Let them chase the money. I'm chasing something that lasts. They took my name off the wall. I'll carve it into the foundation instead. The courthouse steps glistened with the dew of early Charleston humidity. Aurelia climbed them slowly, one breath per step, clutching no documents, no entourage. Just the quiet weight of something earned. Inside, the gallery buzzed. Her community had shown up, faces from soup kitchens, after-school programs, retired teachers, and young mothers. They filled the benches like a sea of quiet resilience. At the plaintiff's table, Martin adjusted his tie like it was a sword. Corinne dabbed her temples with lavender oil, eyes narrowed. Briar's phone was already out, fingers ready to spin a narrative. Linwood leaned over the table, whispering, She doesn't stand a chance. Yara Delaney stood tall at the defense table, silver pen in hand, posture like a column. The judge banged the gavel once. Case 23 V0712. Vance versus Vance. Estate dispute hearing is now in session. In a distant office behind an encrypted screen, Genevieve spoke into a secure line. Bring every affidavit. We'll bury her reputation. Aurelia's eyes drifted over the polished wood, the heavy seal above the judge's bench. She heard none of it. She was calculating, silent, steady. They think I'm fragile. They forgot one thing. I built myself in shadows. Have you ever felt the odds stacked against you in your own bloodline? The hallway reeked of strong coffee and news cameras. Reporters barked questions, but Isaac Cole's voice cut through like a bell. Ms. Vance. He was holding something in his hand, a USB. This is from the old media center. I found it when I was cataloging archives. It's Grandpa. She took it without a word, her fingers curling over the cool plastic. Back in the courtroom, Yara stood and requested to present additional material. The judge hesitated, then nodded. The screens came alive. Sebastian's face filled the room. His voice, unshaken, rang out. She never begged. Je n'y valite. She never needed me to make her worthy. I watched her walk when she could have crawled. She didn't come to me for help. She reminded me what legacy means. The room fell into breathless silence. Martin's jaw slackened. Corinne gripped the table edge. Briar froze, her phone still recording. Yara's eyes scanned the room. Let the testimony speak for itself. Revan leaned over and whispered, "It's done. They just canceled their own case." Aurelia didn't blink. She met each eye in the room with the steadiness of someone who had nothing left to prove. If your truth was hidden for years, would you give them one chance or make them earn it? Late afternoon poured light across the newly painted walls of the old gymnasium turned community center. A crimson ribbon fluttered in the breeze. Aurelia stood at the podium, microphone tilted, her voice steady. The Vance Legacy Foundation will stand for transparency, access, and dignity. We're not here to patch holes. We are here to build walls that don't leak in the first place. Isaac beamed beside her. Children from nearby schools giggled, holding paint-stained hands and plates of cookies. A mother stepped forward, her eyes damp. "My son only stayed in school because of you, Miss Vance." "Call me Aurelia," she said, offering her hand. Off to the side, Martin and Corinne arrived with reporters in tow. Breyer live-streamed the event, her tone measured, desperate to reclaim relevance. Aurelia stepped forward. "Welcome back," she said, extending her hand. It wasn't weakness. It was command. "I didn't win by hurting them. I won by giving others a chance. What legacy will you leave behind when they forget your name?" The sun dipped low. Behind the community center, the air smelled of magnolia and late summer. Aurelia stood alone by the stone fountain. In her hands, Sebastian's final letter. She tore it clean down the middle. One half dropped into the water, dissolving slowly into unreadable ink. Isaac appeared, quiet as ever, holding a small sunflower. "For Grandpa's field," he said. She took it, nodding. Her smile was small, honest. "They thought they erased me. I built the foundation underneath their feet. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of being seen."